Just find yourself nearing the peak of the mountain. This is the general area that you guys were told the sage and the seer live. Again, that bluing light, that blue glowing light, and just this nefarious aura about the mountain with the magic saturation. The day has passed slightly. Let me change the daylight. All in all, it took you guys probably about 2.5 hours since you woke up to get here.
So seeing as how we've had a full night's sleep, is the storm subsided a little bit?
The storm was still raging. Now that you've gotten up into the mountains where the stone are, like all these, you're kind of like in a, I guess it would be a pass where there's high ridges on either side of you. The snow isn't so bad, but around you it's still raging, just not thickly in the area you're in. It's kind of a little further down the mountain, but you can still hear it in the distance
So
behind
seeing
you.
as how we just had a full night's sleep, how about if Red makes a campfire, us get warm, get some rations in us because we haven't eaten since yesterday, and make a game plan on how to proceed because the magic's getting stronger and we don't know if it's from the seer or something nefarious.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So do you create your bonfire?
Yeah. How about right here?
I am not pulled into where my character is.
I had to click on my image and then it took me over. I was
Yeah.
still on the other map. Or I guess section of the map because it literally just moved up and over.
Sweet. Okay, that worked. Thank you.
Are you there? Okay. All right. Everyone's getting cozy with the fire, pulling out their
Is that a
rations to
cave
eat.
to my back? Okay, no.
There are little nooks and there are caves riddled throughout the area.
I'm gonna pull out 2 portions of rations and I'm gonna give 1 portion to Mayra.
The
Thank
snow
you for
around you
taking
guys
pity
is
on me.
thick. There's snow drifts lining basically everything. The fire rages, and you guys begin to eat. A couple moments pass.
I'll make a
Willow, what's your... Oh, wait, sorry. Calamity. I'm assuming everyone's kind of where they are on the map.
Yeah.
Mara, where are you at? Where are you standing?
I mean, I'd be near that little fire right there.
Okay. Calamity, what's your passive perception?
It is 15.
Near the snowdrift against the wall, you peep a very small, scarlet splattered, furry claw reaching out of the snow and quietly padding around outside of the snowdrift, trying to find the food that it can smell.
Like to which side of me?
Like on this here is all a bunch of snowdrifts from the snowstorm, and on the a creature is inside the snowdrift, patting its hand, trying to find the food that it can smell. The hand looks like this.
So I'd probably wave my hands to get everybody's attention and then point at the little bloody hand.
It's getting closer to where you have your rations. Are you going to move your rations or leave them there?
I don't have any rations out at this moment.
You're not eating with everyone else?
I mean, I hadn't set up to start eating yet. I was just standing here getting warm.
Frustrated that he's unable to find food, you see replaced the arm sucks back into the drift, and you see these two eyes briefly peep out of the hole.
He sees that we're all looking at him.
And upon seeing you guys and seeing that you guys are looking, immediately withdraws, and you hear as snow begins to get shoveled deeper inside the drift. It seems you guys have
Does anybody
a
have
follower.
speak this animal?
I don't.
I do.
Why don't you speak to it and tell it we've got food if it comes out?
Mayra, you would know as a druid that a yeti is actually a monster creature. It's not an animal, a beast that you can speak to through magical means.
So what do Yetis speak?
I speak yeti. No, I'm serious. It says on their card, languages yeti. That's what it says.
I don't know Yeti.
I do not know Yeti.
I don't have a lot of food to be able to like hold out to it to try and befriend it. But if somebody else wanted to.
Sure. Actually, here. Take this one.
Are
Hey.
you giving it to Mayra or placing it on the drift?
Tossed it over to Mara.
Okay.
I wasn't eating
This
anything.
has not gone well for me. Okay. I will take it. And is it like a piece of bread? Like, what is it?
Normally, the rations are like dried meats, and tack, like a really dense bread.
Okay, I'm gonna take the like dense bread. I'm gonna break it in half and kind of toss it over near where we saw it go into the bush.
So as the tack lands on the snowdrift, it is mere seconds before this bloody hand reaches out, grabs, and then sucks it back into the hole. And you can hear a familiar and a similar sound to what you heard when you were up in the tree.
Okay, so I'm gonna
Willow.
come like. Sorry.
No, I was just telling her that's the sound she heard, making sure she knew I was talking to her.
Gotcha.
I come like a little bit closer and throw the other half of the bread over there.
Another eats, and then moments pass, and you see the face of the creature peer out. It keeps glancing between you and the fire. Seems like it's kind of afraid of the fire. And seeing you, it looks you up and down for a moment, and then you see tears beginning to well in its eyes again, and it lets out a whale scream. Some of the snow on the surrounding trees rumbles and falls at the whale as this face looks at you.
I'm gonna
Looks
kneel
at Mayra?
down.
Did it,
Oi.
do I notice that it, looks really wary of the fire and, like, not too happy?
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Okay. I'll go ahead and, unless somebody's, like, currently rubbing their hands at the fire, I'll get rid of it. Give her a little help there.
The fire extinguishes, and the yeti, the little tyke of a yeti, seems to calm down a little bit. He begins climbing out of the snowdrift, and you can see he has blood on him, but he doesn't seem to have any wounds. This is what he looks like.
He's so cute.
If you had to guess, you would say he was crying, like he, in like almost a child. Even though he's a monster, there's like this childlike
Like his mama died.
feeling of he's lost, he's scared, he's sad, he's afraid. and he's
How
covered
big
in
is
blood
he?
that is not his.
Okay.
He's
So
probably, I'd say, about 3.5 feet tall.
I'm gonna kneel down and I'm gonna take a piece of the jerky. I'm gonna throw it a little bit closer to myself.
He looks down at the food and up at you hesitantly, and then he looks around, gauging the distance that everyone else is around him. Um, he reaches down and grabs a piece of snow, almost like comforting himself, and tightens it in his palm as he begins sliding his way forward cautiously. Reaches out, grabs the food, and then takes just a step back. He's closer than he was when he started, but he retreats a little.
I want it to be well known to the party that I'm trying to befriend a baby yeti. I'm gonna take that last piece of jerky and I'm gonna cut it, like rip it in half, and then throw it in the same spot, just a little bit closer to me. Still kneeling.
He reaches forward and grabs it. The fear in his eyes seems to wane just for a moment, and you see he's looking um almost like at your neck a little bit, like he's so hungry.
Oh. I'm gonna. Oh man, this goes against everything that I know. I'm gonna hold out the last piece of jerky, not flat in my palm, but between my fingertips, holding it out to him with my arm completely extended.
He comes forward and he grabs your hand, and the little guy's strong, like you can feel his strength as he grabs your hand, and he pulls the jerky out with his other, and he eats, and then still holding onto your hand, his eyes drift to your fingers, and you see his sharp teeth expand as he opens his mouth and slowly begins to lean forward towards,
I'm gonna say,
almost like in
no,
a
no,
trance.
no, no, and I'm gonna pull my hand very lightly away from him,
And
really gently.
he continues forward, and his
Okay, I'm
teeth
gonna
are, yeah, he's about to bite your fingers.
continue. Yeah, I'm gonna continue to pull my hand away. I'm not gonna let a yeti bite me.
Make a
Yeah,
strength check
I'm
for me, please.
moving forward a little bit threateningly. Like I'm not trying to like make him run away, but like.
Okay, make an intimidation check.
Yeah.
You wanted strength?
Yes.
Nope.
But that's not my strong suit.
That's not my strong suit at all.
19.
Wait, I need to move this thing real quick. No, okay. 5? Fuck.
So a searing hot pain comes as the baby yeti sinks his teeth, biting into your glove and
Solid.
piercing your finger.
Fucking solid.
Before he can like rip and eat, you see Red approach with a hey, like a very stern, kind of bulky figure walk towards him,
This is what
and
I got.
the yeti lets go and kind of backs away and looks almost like he doesn't know what's happening. He doesn't know what's wrong. Like, why was anything wrong? He's just eating. Mayra, you're gonna take 1 point of piercing damage.
The fuck yeah, I am. Like,
Okay.
just isn't my day.
I'm still staring him down, but I say out loud, anybody else a ration?
I got some to spare. I'll take one out.
You get the feeling that the yeti might need something a little more than a ration.
Like fresh meat. I don't got fresh meat.
It also crosses your mind that although cute, yetis do grow up into full-fledged monsters. They are not known for being kind. So maybe, if only for a moment, the thought crosses your mind that this yeti might be better to be dispatched of. On the other hand, it could just be a poor little monster, lost in the snow, ripped away from his home.
Yeah, by some dastardly adventurer.
Do I know like about how old this yeti would be?
Yeah. As a druid, I think you would have a decent knowledge of the woodland creatures on the island you live. Um, he's pretty young. He's probably only a season or two old, maybe a
And
season and a half.
what would be like the normal lifespan of like a yeti growing up like to adulthood?
Yeah, Yetis can live quite a while. I would say probably 40 to 50 years. But they reach maturity pretty rapidly. About 5, 6 years are full grown.
Okay. So like I could make a giant monster, my friend, and then it could protect me. Um
I can fix them.
I can fix it. I can fix it.
White lady
Uh,
with a pit bull.
so I don't want to do anything really about him biting me. I want to stay in like kind of that kneeled position. Um, like obviously I'm not gonna hold my hand out to him again, because like today ain't my day. Uh, I am gonna turn probably to the party and be like, "What should we do about this?"
At that, I pull out my light crossbow and I shrug and say, I can dispatch him.
Ma'am.
Silas is also holding back the urge
I won't
to
look at you
throw
and
a
go, he just
firebolt at
bit
him.
you.
Yeah, but like it feels like he doesn't know better.
Silas says he's been holding back the urge of fling a fireball at him.
Okay. Whichever thing we do, as long as we do it all the way.
Like I feel like I accept all creatures no matter anything. So like I'm definitely not going to kill this animal for just doing what it knows.
But if we keep this animal, then when we go to sleep next, it knows to eat people. Or eat anything that it sees. So
Like I can't make decisions for you, but I am not going to be contributing party to its death. I can't. I would go against like every code that I have. I do wonder why it's covered in blood though. I'm wondering if like it could have attacked the seer.
correct. But you're not gonna be able to talk to it either, so again I
Okay.
shrug
I think we take it out.
and I point to my bow.
The wind blows and you see the Yeti, who was looking still kind of at Mayra's fingers, sniffs and its eyes kind of focus as if it smells something familiar. And seeming unaware of the danger of what you guys are talking about, dispatching it, it begins heading further into the mountain pass, leaving its back well exposed for a shot as it heads towards whatever it smells.
Okay, I think before we shoot it, we should follow it.
I
Like
think
mommy or daddy
yeah,
smells?
yeah, right. That's what I'm thinking.
But I mean, it's
I'm
covered
thinking
in
we go
blood.
stealth. Yeah, but it could have eaten a wild animal out somewhere.
Did it look like it was following food or? But I have been able to tell by its eyes.
It didn't. No, its eyes had a different look than when it was focusing on your fingers.
Okay. I feel like the vibe is that it's not gonna lead
Like
us
the
to mommy
vibe.
and daddy. I'm like,
So are we dispatching the Yeti, or are we?
Hey, what's this?
What's
Right
what?
now,
What?
it looks like we're following it around.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, I see. I
fat.
see. I see.
That looks like blood, but I can't tell.
As you approach, it looks
Oh, that is
like.
a bridge.
Huh?
Yep, I approach.
It looks like a little bit of stone rubble. Um, some of them have symbols carved on them, and then there's a very small piece of stone that looks reminiscent to the crystals that you guys found in the dungeon.
Ooh.
I mean, wouldn't a dead monster drop a crystal?
Are you talking about the ones that were near Willow Wynn? Like those crystals?
Like the power crystals.
Yeah. Okay. Those are also found in dead creatures.
So, I was following it more than trying to get an advantageous spot. So, did it go left?
It continued on straight down past this rubble, this way.
I think I'd like to follow it. I think we should probably pick up that crystal as we go.
Well, what about this
Sure.
bridge that's broken? We're just going to ignore that.
I didn't see that, so I feel like my character wouldn't have seen that.
Where is the bridge?
Right above Flamacy and myself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we would have walked over the fallen debris of it, but
Who would stop and grab that crystal? Anyone?
not me personally.
I'm making sure that it gets picked up.
So Red would have picked it up.
Sure.
Red, as a sorcerer, as you pick up this stone, pretty quickly, at just a side glance, you can see the stone surrounding it have runes inscribed on them, and almost all of them are runes that are used in defensive magics, as in for like glyphs and wards of defensive nature. It looks like whatever ritual or ward had been cast there has been disrupted and destroyed, is now null and void, and the rune stones just lay in a pile.
Okay. They are. I mean, I'll say that to the group, but they aren't really useful, right? Like, we could just write runes whenever.
Yeah, you could just inscribe your own runes. The rune magic is namely, it's not really the material it's made out of, it's mainly the symbols that are etched by a magical user etching them, and then the way that they're laid out.
Are there any other footprints, markings, signs of passing besides the child yeti?
As you get closer, make a I want to decide if I want to make a perception or investigation.
Wouldn't all of us do that, seeing as how we're all investigating?
I'll give you the choice, but make either a survival or an investigation check for me.
And both are a +2, so lastly 7, 8.
There are various footprints in the snow of various sizes, but with the way that the snow has covered them, they kind of just look like indents of various sizes. You know them to be footprints of some sort based on how they're laid out, but it'd be impossible to tell at this point of what they're from specifically. As you guys approach, you see the blood-covered yeti approaching, blood-soaked snow. There is scorch marks all over the stone here. as if some type of fire magic was used um, on the Yeti. The Yeti is burnt somewhat, but nearby you can actually see a larger stone that took the brunt of that, almost like the Yeti was using the stone to cover from the fire magic. And there are possibly hundreds of puncture wounds throughout this Yeti. Um, Something took its time making
Oh.
sure to establish dominance over the body of this Yeti.
There's another crystal right here. This one doesn't have rune debris around it, so I'm not sure how that's gonna go.
There is a glow of blue coming from just around the corner over here.
I'm gonna shed a slight tear at the treatment of this parent.
I'm gonna go to that ruin that Calamity saw.
The baby
Yeah.
Yeti approaches and places its sharp teeth on a series of nipples on this dead mother Yeti's corpse and
Oh
is
my
trying
gosh.
to suck any kind of milk that it can out of its body.
Oh, it's Baldur's Gate all
My
over
heart.
Eyes pouring with tears, but hunger
Ugh.
taking the better of it.
again. I don't have any milk.
Ugh.
I was gonna hunt for it for fresh meat, but that's not what it needs.
Based on the way it's eating, it probably gets a little bit of both milk and meat.
Oh my gosh, that's so sad.
It's like the owlbear all over again.
I know! That affected me.
As you approach, you see this very much so active rune system laid out in the snow, covering the entirety of the path. The glow of its magic reaching across the entire pathway. Yeah.
Do I recognize this magic?
Make an Arcana check for me, please.
I would climb up and over the rock system to see a better vantage point and what's around.
What's your plus to Arcana?
5, so 12.
You do. The design of it is different than what you're familiar with, that you've studied, but it is definitely some type of detection magic, um, commonly used when warding an area from intrusion.
Okay. Question real quick. With us eating at the beginning and sleeping at the beginning of the session, does that mean we were back to full health points?
Yeah, just from the long rest, and eating, yeah, everyone's at full hit points and spell slots.
What is this rune stone that I'm standing next to? This blue stone.
That looks to be like a broken piece of a gemstone found deeper within the dungeon, which is interesting because as far as the island goes, you're about as far away from the dungeon as you can get at the top of the mountain.
Do we see any animals to hunt?
Make a survival check as you look in the crevices of the stone and your eyes gaze through
Ugh, fell off the
treetops.
table. 8 plus survival, you said?
Mm-hmm.
11.
I like to do a
Not
stealth roll.
readily that you can see, but you got a feeling there's got to be small critters and maybe even some substantial predators within these mountains that you guys could hunt for food.
Go
Combat
cow.
wild shape into
21. I rolled
a
a
yeti.
21 stealth. As I start creeping along this edge of the rock face.
The easiest to hunt and probably the least dangerous mom would be like a frostling squirrel. They're native to snowy mountain woodlands. They're similar to like regular woodland squirrels, but they're a little bigger and they have like a ton of fur and they blend in very well into the snow. What did you say about your roll with the Yeti?
Could I wild shape into that?